All right, today I'm going to tell you the story of the Arkansas prison blood scandal. In 1978, the Arkansas State Prison contracted with Health Management Associates to provide medical services and began paying inmates for blood. But when they failed to screen the blood for diseases, thousands of recipients get infected.
Oh, no.
Tainted blood. Oh. Okay.
Oh, my God.
I know.
What song is that?
Tainted Love.
Oh. I was going to say, it sounds familiar. How dare you? Is that Depeche Mode?
No.
No? It's not?
No.
Yes, it is.
Tainted Love is not Depeche Mode.
It's not?
No, Depeche Mode is like People Are People. It's,
I'm looking this up right now because I don't believe you. Tainted Love.
Tainted Blood. All right.
Soft Cell.
Oh, it's like their one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
All right. So
That's a great song.
It's
though.
a good song.
Yeah.
So our story takes place in Arkansas, which, I like to say as Arkansas because it drives my husband nuts because he lived there for a good while. So
did his beautiful sister live there too?
Yes.
Oh, hi. Hello.
Yes. Ooh. All right. So the one prison that I'll focus on here is Cummins Prison in Grady, Arkansas. So an article by Sophia Chase published in the William and Mary Business Law Review in 2012 gives some background on the conditions at Cummins Prison back in the late 60s and early 70s. Essentially, things were a hot mess. Chase notes that throughout this scandal, the prison was dealing with other allegations of misconduct, and she writes that the prison was dealing with, quote, murder, rape, bribery, embezzlement, and poor medical care that was ongoing. And the state government was working to end a system of bloated bonuses for prison officials. Jeez. So all this stuff is going on, which may have distracted officials from looking at the blood mining operation that was happening with,
oh my God, blood mining?
With like the Health Management Association. So, Jeffrey St. Clair's 1999 Legal News article, which is pretty biased against Bill Clinton. I want to just say that at the top, but, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, good. Fuck him. He's a piece
but
of
it outlined a lot of what was happening. So essentially, the first year that Clinton takes office as governor is the year the prison makes this deal with Health Management Associates, which I'm going to refer to as HMA from here on out. So this company, HMA, decides to mine the blood of inmates along with providing those medical services. So they did pay the inmates for the blood. And this still happens today. Like if you go to a blood bank, people will pay you to donate blood and then they'll pay you more if you donate like your plasma and things like that. It's like, $50 or something. So, but because these are prisoners, they unfortunately get exploited here and they're paid $7 for blood. And some prisoners up to 100 a week were giving blood twice a week. So the reason why this is a thing, like why they are donating their blood, is because basically in many other states, if a prisoner is working, they could still get paid for their labor. But at the time and still today in Arkansas does not pay their inmates for their labor, which is, it's bullshit. They are one of 8 states today that still don't do that. Guess which is another state?
Well, Florida.
Yeah, Florida, of course. I can't stand, like, what are we doing? Yeah. What are we doing here?
Just name any shitty thing and I can say Florida.
It's Florida.
Yeah.
So one of 8 states. So, I mean, they can make you work. They can make you do all of this stuff and they don't have to pay, which it's not right.
No,
it's not right.
It's not slavery.
It's slavery. So
what the fuck?
It's like modern day slavery. So of course, if there's this option to make money by selling your blood, people are going to take it because they need money.
Right.
And
so, $7, I mean, how fucking far does that go?
So HMA got the blood and then sold it to companies that would transform it into medicine for hemophiliacs as well as to pharmaceutical companies and other blood banks.
Wow.
So one of the main pharmaceuticals involved was a company called Cutter Laboratories, and that's according to Chase's article. So this is the medical industry in the United States, right? So of course, capitalism, and they're going to try to make as much money off of the blood.
I was going to wonder how much
that they can. So St. Clair's article notes that they sold the blood for $50 a pint. And that the Arkansas Department of Corrections got half of that. So they're paying the guy $7. They're making $50. The prison system gets half. They keep the other half. And Chase's article indicated that they collected 300 to 500 pints a weekend.
Jeez.
So that's about $20,000 a weekend and $10K going to the prison and about $500,000 a year. So it's a lot of money. And that was back then, which today would be equivalent of making $1.2 million annually.
Holy
off
cow.
of the blood of these people.
Holy cow.
So let's get into things. So recall this is starting in the late 70s through early 80s. And what disease is happening at this time?
AIDS.
Right.
HIV.
The HIV/AIDS epidemic is happening. And St. Clair's article noted that the FDA had put an alert out stating that prisoners had high incidence of HIV/AIDS because of unprotected sex and intravenous drug use, right? So this company, as part of the medical industry, should have known better, right? These alerts went out, but do they test the blood? Do they do anything to ensure that the blood is safe? No, right? Because if they're going to start weeding people out, that's less money in their pocket.
Oh my God.
So blood money seems like an appropriate description here.
Holy cow.
So Chase cites an internal memo from that Cutter Laboratories at the time that highlights how folks felt about those FDA alerts. And this is an internal memo, quote, "Take no extraordinary actions. There are no data to support the emotional arguments that prison plasma collected from adequately screened patients is bad. To exclude such plasma from manufacturer of our coagulation product would only be a sop or gratuity to the gay rights and would presage further pressure to exclude plasma collected from the Mexican border and the paid donor." So basically, if we do that, you're just appeasing, the gay rights people and like, we're not going to do that. And, business as usual, right?
Holy cow.
But because the FDA put those alerts out, the company decided, okay, well, we're not going to sell this blood through the US anymore. We're going to do it internationally instead. So HMA, they start selling to Canada, the UK, Italy, like all these other countries.
Oh my God.
And then HMA eventually stops participating because their contract with the prison ended in 1986. But the bloody business kind of still continues because other organizations come in and they kind of take over and they're at the helm of
oh my God.
Still collecting this.
And they're not testing it. They take the blood from them and then they're selling it.
They're not screening it.
And they're not testing it. And so they're not. And
they're doing like these pre-screening things with the prisoners. Like they ask them, how like when you go to give blood and they ask you that.
They could have HIV and not know. Right?
Yeah.
And so then they're selling the blood to these people and they're not telling them, hey, this hasn't been screened.
Correct.
Or holy cow.
I know. So Chase's article also cites this documentary. It was called Factor VIII. Mm-hmm. And Factor VIII, that's like the blood clotting protein, which is needed by hemophiliacs. So like when you donate the blood, like that pharmaceutical company who makes the medicine for hemophiliacs, they take the Factor VIII out and it makes it into a medicine. But that can still be infected because that's coming from someone.
So this is how Ryan White got it. Remember we talked about Ryan White?
Yes.
When I
so
covered
he
the
got
AIDS
it from
episode.
an infected.
He was a hemophiliac.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't think they need to get
blood transfusions.
Yeah. I don't think his blood came from.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. Like from
this prison.
Right.
But it's the same thing.
That's how, yeah.
Yes. So she writes that in that documentary, prisoners involved with the program claimed that they actually participated in collecting the blood too. And that.
What?
Yes. And that quote resulted in overbleeding, bleeding disqualified donors, unsafe conditions for the donations generally, and the destruction and falsification of records and evidence.
What?
And they claim that prisoners who did not meet requirements to have their blood drawn and used for medical purposes were still accepted by the plasma center. Some of those disqualifications were things like, having hepatitis C.
Oh my God. What the fuck?
It's insane.
This is crazy.
It's insane. It's insane. Like I was reading this, I'm like, why don't I know?
I don't know, but also it's
about this.
There's too many people,
so many people involved.
Yes, there's scandals that we do where it's like, okay, these two people are conspiring.
No. This is
so many people.
This is a system.
How does not one person
that started in 1978?
Holy cow.
So things get to a head around 1983 when the FDA recalls 38 blood units. I don't know how many pints of blood that is, but they're recalled because they came from 12 prisoners who were infected with hepatitis C. And Chase notes that it was too little too late because the blood had already been distributed primarily to Canada. Mm-hmm. Then another recall happens until the FDA finally kind of like shuts stuff down for a little bit in 1984. But in the end, so like I said, when they didn't get that contract back, HMA, it was because of this. But then they gave the contract to these other people who were continued to do things. So HMA gets shut down, but that didn't stop the whole operation. So in the end, HMA is investigated. They find out that not only did they not test the blood, but Chase says that the Institute for Law and Policy Planning of Berkeley, California, ILPP, provides a response regarding HMA's practices, and they, quote, identified 40 areas where HMA completely failed to meet the requirements of its contract with the ADC. Even worse, HMA also violated general professional standards as it, and this is a quote within a quote, hired a large number of unlicensed, uncertified, or legally unqualified medical staff who were not properly supervised. The final analysis concluded that for HMA, all this must be viewed as profit-motivated business decision-making at best.
Yeah.
All about the money.
Wow.
So the other organizations, like I said, take over, and Chase states that the prison director at the time, John Bias, said, quote, "We plan to stick with the plasma program to the last day, to the last drop we're able to sell."
Wow.
It's disgusting.
It is, and it's just so
disgusting.
It's just so clear. It's because it's a group of people that they think everybody that they think nobody cares about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, these are just dispensable. We can do whatever we want. We can stick a needle in their arm, drain them of blood. We can
drain them of blood, but then they're not thinking about who is on the other side getting this blood.
Right.
I mean, I read one article where like some woman's like her 7-year-old son. Died.
Because, my God, Tina!
He needed a transfusion.
Oh my God!
It's terrible, 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 terrible. And it really, all of that program ended up lasting until 1994.
What?
From 1978.
Oh my God! Yeah. Jesus Christ!
1994.
Wow.
So almost 30 years. And according to Jennifer Rose's Medium article, those other orgs, like I said, just were still from that 1984 thing through 90 for another 10 years are still selling that blood.
Wow.
So now the U.S., they didn't really sell in the U.S. They started selling internationally. So the Canadian government found after an investigation in 1994 that the contaminated blood led to 7,000 hepatitis C deaths.
Oh my God.
41,000 AIDS deaths and about 20,000 cases of hepatitis C infections. And people who have hep C, you can eventually die of like liver failure. But it is a lifelong condition that is debilitating.
This is murder. Am I crazy?
Yeah, no.
This is fucking insane. Yeah. 41,000 people?
7,000 and 4,000.
4,000.
So,
yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And that's in Canada. But remember, blood went to the UK. Blood went to Italy.
Oh
right?
My God, dude. No.
So, of course, there's no charges.
No! Tina, my next question is going to be, please tell me somebody get help. What the fuck are you talking about?
So, what happened is the Canadian Red Cross, so in Canada, the Canadian Red Cross in 2005 finally admitted guilt, according to Globe and Mail, and they said that at the time they were, quote, deeply sorry for the injury and death caused to those who were infected by blood or blood products it distributed. So this is 25 to 30 years later.
Deeply sorry?
They're deeply sorry. And so, because the Canadian government said, yes, you got this blood from this, from that pharmaceutical company, right? But then you didn't do your due diligence of checking that blood, right? So they just distributed the blood. But then the Red Cross, I don't know how that works. Like, are you testing the blood twice? Like,
at this point, how do you know the AIDS crisis is happening? It's through the blood. We knew that.
And this blood is coming from prisons.
But how do you not check it? When did that even get into place? When was that a thing? I mean, how could you not know?
I know.
Come on, man.
So this is, like I said, it's 25 years later. So they make that statement. They're fined $5,000. $5,000. But they did agree to give $1.5 million in scholarships to the victims' families and medical research. Like, that was like
$1.5 million is nothing.
It's nothing.
How dare you?
So a spokesman for the Canadian Hemophilia Society said, quote, how can anyone be satisfied? Thousands of people lost their lives. Hundreds and hundreds of people are living with these fatal viruses today. There's no great outcome here for anybody that's gone through the tainted blood scandal.
Man.
And then a victim of the tragedy, Bruce Devine, who contracted hep C from the blood, had this to say, quote, they slither between every legal loophole and hide behind every lawyer they can. The Red Cross is walking free from now on. I mean, and he's living, he's going to die from this disease. So again, the U.S. doesn't face much backlash from this because what's happening is very early on when the FDA came out, they're like, we're not going to sell in the US. So there's no like US news about this because it's happening in these other countries. So they're just like, they wash their hands of it.
Holy cow.
It's just crazy. So in 1999, Hemophiliacs, this was some points of interest, from Canada sued because the Canadian government was still using the tainted blood from Arkansas prison scandal after they knew the blood was tainted.
What? How could they fucking do that?
An AP article from the time reported that about 1,000 folks contracted Hep C between 1980 and 1985, but Canada stopped buying the prison blood in 1983, but there were those 3 years where they were still buying the blood.
Holy cow.
In 2006, the BBC reported that the UK government destroyed the files of those patients infected with products distributed by the NHS. And NHS is the National Health System of the UK. And they too procured the contaminated blood. And people believe that the records were destroyed as part of a cover-up, which the NHS denies. They say it was an accident. It's an unfortunate accident that those files got lost. Because they're now, because there are people in the UK that are like, you guys bought this blood and now we're dying.
Yeah. And, just burn the records and pretend like it doesn't fucking exist.
It's
Holy
wild.
shit.
So I thought this was interesting.
Oh, God.
A Medium article noted that when HMA lost their contract and no longer participated in the program, their license to sell blood got revoked because they were under fire with the FDA. But they don't get in trouble with the FDA. And the Medium article suggested that then Governor Clinton and the Arkansas Department of Corrections convinced the FDA that it wasn't HMA's fault.
Yeah.
That it was the fault of a prison guard instead.
I got to tell you.
So guess what? They got their license back to continue to sell blood.
For this whole time, I was thinking to myself, who do they know? Because there's no way that they are getting away with this and somebody's not, they're either giving money to somebody, maybe his campaign. I don't know what the fuck it was.
Who knows?
But whatever it was, they knew somebody.
They got nothing.
This is an outrage.
It's outrageous. And I'm
what the fuck?
I'm like, man, I remember when he ran for president, I was young.
Oh, God.
But I don't remember hearing about this scandal. I don't remember hearing his involvement in this scandal.
Ugh.
And then
this guy with his dick every second.
Oh my God. The Daily Beast reported that there was a whistleblower in the case. So there was this guy named Rolf Castell, and he was one of the people. So this documentary came out that I said it was called Factor 8, and they interview him, and he's like, yeah, this is what we did. Like, so he claims, Rolf Castell, that there was, that he sort of like suffered for putting himself out in that documentary. And the thing that is awful is that he was serving a 40-year jail sentence.
Oh my gosh.
But he was serving 40 years because he used a toy gun in a robbery. He stole $224 from like a Taco Bell, and he had a toy pistol. And this is back in 1981. And they gave him 40 years because he had like a prior. So he was sitting in jail for 40 years because he had a plastic. God. I mean, yes, he robbed someone. But people for years were trying to get him clemency because they're like, he helped expose this scandal. Like he was part of it, like, and said like, this is what happened, and kept getting denied. Again. Even the guy he robbed advocated for Castell to be released.
But who's sitting on the clemency board?
It's too long. Right.
Who's sitting there? It's somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody who knows Clinton. I don't know. Just that's alleged. But like what fuck?
But it's garbage.
Yes.
Finally, he ends up getting released October of this year, 2021.
Holy cow.
They finally like let him out.
I mean,
it is crazy, but that's the story. That's the story of tainted blood, the Arkansas prison blood scandal.